how some of the capabilities in Pakistan, for example, I've been meeting quite a few fintechs and startups, and look at just the quality of the attention to detail on UI and these kinds of things. I'm very, very impressed with some of the things that I'm seeing.
So, and we keep it interactive. So if somebody has a question and they want clarification on certain point, feel free to just raise your hand. Someone will give you a mic and you can, So let's start about a little bit about Visa and how you see the ecosystem happening and what kind of role you play to partner up with fintechs, enable them, and bring them to the fore in relation to the Visa ecosystem.
I think so. I think fintech's a very exciting world to just to be in. So if you think back maybe 6 years ago when fintech. I think when fintech first started, many of the players in the payment space, banks, etc., really didn't take much notice to it. And then when you think about Bitcoin and how that came about, and then all of a sudden blockchain became very big, and everyone was talking about all the different use cases around that. I think there's been a very big shift in mindset. So, and if you also look at us at Visa, traditionally we've only been working with many of our banking partners, and over the last couple of years, the strategy that Visa has very much shifted towards collaboration. So now, aside from working with our traditional banking partners, we also work with many fintechs, retail players, transportation companies, and so it's a completely different way that Visa works. And essentially, we really work across three different pillars. So the first one is called the Visa Developer Platform. If everyone here has seen that, or if you haven't seen that, I highly encourage you to go and check it out. So the Visa Developer Platform is actually access to about 150 different APIs and capabilities that really harness the power of VisaNet. So we have a bunch of different tools around things like security, risk, data, loyalty that really helps to enhance and add context to the payments experience. The Visa Developer Platform is extremely affordable. It's very easy to use. You can go onto the sandbox and you can try it out. And it's meant for banks, it's meant for fintechs, and many of our other partners. The other thing we have, which we're now bringing into this country, is called the Visa Ready program. And the Visa Ready program is essentially a stamp telling many of our traditional ecosystem partners that Visa has looked at this company or this fintech, and we basically validated it across many different dimensions. And we feel that this company has what it takes in terms of scale, in terms of security, in terms of product, to really bring this company out and to share with some of our other more traditional partners like our banking partners. And the third one, which we're now starting to talk about, is still not here, but it's coming soon, is something called the Visa FinTech Fast Track Program. And this is coming very soon to Pakistan. And the idea around the FinTech Fast Track Program is basically a platform that really provides FinTech with sharing ideas, case studies, mentorship, knowledge, and really basically graduating some of the concepts that FinTech have.
All right, so basically it's, I think the volume is still a bit low, we're with the shares. So basically, before we get more into the different programs and how they have worked out, it would be nice to hear your experience in other markets because Pakistan is a bit late to the scene. So what has worked in different markets? What kind of ways has Visa worked in the fintech space, and what have been some of the success stories?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I think one of the key messages that we've been sharing with a lot of fintechs and we're meeting not only here but in many countries. So I basically go across the Middle East and North Africa, covering about 40 different countries. And one of the key messages that we have is, number one is fintechs we recommend should be the banking and the payments to the experts, right? There's so much opportunity, there's so much space around things like customer experience, around compliance, around Basel, around reporting, that we think there's a lot of space for fintechs to actually play. I get quite frustrated personally whenever I get a message on LinkedIn and then somebody says, I've invented a brand new visa and it's running on blockchain. You know, it's a very steep hill to be climbed. And so if you look at some of the other examples of successful use cases, for example, Apple Pay, Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, Venmo in the US, Facebook payments, WhatsApp payments, these are all running on existing infrastructure. So it's not just about the messaging and the actual technology stack. You have to realize that payment schemes and banks, they bring a lot of expertise around things like chargebacks and disputes and KYC, and so it's much easier if fintech focuses on incremental innovation and something that some of the more traditional players have a more difficult time doing, as opposed to trying to reinvent the entire business model. So I think some of the more exciting trends that we're starting to see, for example, is tokenization. So tokenization, whether it be from a network or from a gateway or a third party, in sort of the payments context, is very exciting because what it does is it essentially removes a 16-digit card number or a bank account number, and it replaces it with a token that has a lot of controls around it. And so even if this payment token is compromised, it's very difficult for any fraudster to actually do anything with that. Some of the other things that I've seen in other markets that's really taking off is things like payouts. So many times we talk about someone charging a card, a credit card or a debit card, and having a real-time payment. But things like payouts are becoming quite popular. So to give you a very relevant example, is if you take an Uber in the US and if the customer pays with card, the driver has the option of actually instantly receiving the funds for, let's say, a very, very small fee, right? So it really makes the receiving of money into your bank account almost as instant as when the customer makes that payment. I guess just the last thing I want to say around this is that we keep meeting fintechs and many of them focus on regional payments or P2P payments or B2C payments when there's so much competition in that space. It would be great to see companies that are also focusing on things like KYC and compliance and reporting and many of the other pieces that actually run the financial system.
So what are some of the big names that has come out, some big success stories that you would like to share? Maybe name a few out of this program in any other market.
Yeah, so out of this program, not yet because these are things that our program is very, very new. But I think so. A couple of companies that I'm looking at specifically that are quite interesting is one is called Bankable. If anyone's seen them, they're a company out of London, I think. And what Bankable does is that it works with many of the traditional large scale banks and it adds a middleware. And then it has packaged fintech services that really allow banks to actually launch and try brand new fintechs at a much faster rate than it was previously been done. I think another example is so we're working closely with a digital bank out of Dubai, and typically we see two flavors of digital banks where one is we see kind of the more we see some of the more traditional banks, and they try and launch a digital bank, but it's basically just a digital channel. But what this bank is doing specifically is that they've implemented a middleware which allows them to basically plug in any fintech in about a week's time and really try them out. And just that sort of thing on speed is amazing.
So that's very interesting. So you talked a lot about tokenization. So I would like to understand, just for audience, because some people may not understand. It's a very Visa's internal hot word, I know. So can you just explain tokenization a little bit, in a few words?
Yeah, so tokenization as a concept has been around for quite some time. Payment gateways have been offering it. The Visa token service is our own network flavor of tokenization. And the idea is that we want to remove a credit or debit or prepaid card from the digital ecosystem. So let's say that, actually, I don't really know my phone. So I have a Apple phone, and as soon as I enroll my Visa card into my Apple device, Apple Pay, which is a token requester, actually sent my card information to the Visa token vault, and the Visa token vault returned a 60-digit number that's now sitting on my phone. So every time I make a transaction, I'm actually using the 16-digit number, which does not match my own credit card. So that way, if any fraudster gets a hold of that number during transmission, if they hack our database and they have to defend it, there's not much that they can do with it because that code is actually bound to my phone.
So it's use case specific, right?
It's usually
Specific. I think that's very interesting. So coming back to the visa program, so what kind of, so what are you looking for in fintechs that will partner with you? I mean, what should your maybe top 3 or 4 selection criteria that will help you pick a fintech?
Yeah, I mean, so there's a few things, and this obviously changed as the program grows. But I think at this stage we're doing for fintech partners that either help to grow the visa base of cards or that increases more volume for us. And second, more on the collaboration. We're looking for fintech partners that can really help out our banking partners. So if you have a startup around strong authentication or KYC or compliance or biometrics, chatbots, any of that kind of stuff. I think there's a lot of value there. And obviously, we're looking to partner with fintechs who have a growing product, are stable, have a strong team, and really have a little bit of traction behind it as well.
So if I were to just ask the audience, is there any fintech here that has thought about partnering with a payment card scheme or thought about it or looked at it or tried reaching out to them? Would like to raise hand? Has anybody thought it, tried it? Okay.
I have a question. Is it possible for a startup to directly integrate with Visa, like not taking a route via bank? So is it possible for a startup or fintech to? I want to know what regulatory says regarding this. So is there a possibility that?
So I'm sure technically you can answer better. I'm sure that it's available, but the regulatory circumstances will be a function of your business model or your use case, right?
Okay.
So yeah, so I'll let Mo answer this, then I will build on that.
Yeah, so I think it depends for what. So as I mentioned earlier, the Visa developer platform has a number of different capabilities and APIs out there that you can use around things like loyalty, risk, data, authentication, all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to kind of the pure payment processing, traditionally, which I understand now is in Pakistan, we do have to go through a license bank.
Yeah. So that's what I wanted to know.
Yeah,
So,
that's fine. Go on. No, let's complete this point.
so basically, the similar question. No, it's not similar regarding the fee. Basically, I'm a merging startup. I'm just going to integrate with Visa tokenization services, but my budget is limited. My customers are limited, but Visa charge. Every scheme charge massively for for the approved transaction and even for the period transaction. So, will you guys be leveraging customers or fintechs not to opt for the fee, not to charge as much fee as you are charging to the other banks? So, is it possible?
So the FinTech Fast Track program has some value-added services and discounts, but when it comes to actual payment processing costs, those are set standard across the board.
But as I said, that this is a function of what you're trying to do. Because if you list out a specific use case or scenario, then I think both him and I can answer much better. Yeah. So what is your startup do?
Okay, basically, I'm not a startup. I'm just thinking out loud. Okay, if I'm a startup and I'm going to avail tokenization services of Visa, so basically in tokenization, if I'm going to store a card in the Visa vault there must be a charge of storing the card number in the vault. And even though retrieving that card number from the vault and even performing a transaction from Visa. So I think all charges are included in the entire chain. So I just wanted to know, is it possible for Visa to leverage that cost, to minimize that cost for the startup, or are these the standard ones?
Yeah, so the payment processing costs, as I mentioned, are the same, regardless of the type of client and the size. But the tokenization service is actually free of cost. It doesn't cost anything. To actually tokenize cars, tokenize and detokenize, etc., there's actually no cost to that. It's free of charge.
Sorry, I had a question.
Yeah, the guy is talking about that, like loss of the license. And that. I was thinking about that actually for the fintech startup because I'm running a commerce startup and I'm very interested in fintech. Right now we have 4 or 5 fintech companies that are dealing in the digital payments like Easy Pesa, like Pinja, Samsung from Pinja and other companies. But actually we don't have that kind of environment like in India, the Paytm. Paytm is doing amazing job. Like in the US, they have PayPal or Zoom, or in China they will get. But we don't have that kind of system here. I was searching that in 2017, government has some regulated some kind of law. So PTA along with the SBB, they are issuing a kind of license to operate. But okay, my question about that, suppose we have that license and we are entered into the fintech, that kind of license is actually covering up the banking needs. Means you can use the third-party banking as per that license. So banking needs are already fulfilled. But my question to Visa is that, according to this program, are you supposed to create some kind of like fintech ecosystem, and even you can like give the services to the new fintech companies, incubate them, because our incubators are not working well now. I can see they are like wasting the money of the government on taxes. But you are just supposed to provide the value-added services with the banks and the fintechs, or you are just you are going to create a wholesome program where fintechs can incubate and can grow up there, especially about the domestic payments. I'm not talking about sending money to elsewhere, but the domestic payments, mobile payments, and all that. So Visa is going to be part of that, or just a value-added services like providing that?
So I'll go first, then you can answer the Visa part. See, for anybody like Visa to come and do this, they will always be interested in what's in it for them, right? So it's a capitalist world, everybody is watching out. So whatever they would be, I think he can answer better. But what you talk about the licensing, and also the licensing enables you to do a lot of things, right? So it enables you to do transactions and all. And Paytm is a service, it's not an infrastructure. So you need to understand that there are multiple layers in the ecosystem. One layer in the ecosystem is what we call the rails, or the core infrastructure. In Pakistan, the core infrastructure is very proprietary and closed. So the only core infrastructure that allows transactions between banks and different channels is RTGS, which is run by State Bank, and the other one is OneLink, right, which allows for your fund transfers. So there is a policy, there is a new system coming in, which is called the MPG, Micro Payment Gateway. So even Paytm and every other startup, WhatsApp Pay, Google Pay, Google Pays in India, they're all using something called UPI. So we are building an equivalent of UPI in Pakistan, which is called MPG, or Micro Payment Gateway. It's under the purview of State Bank. It has an open API architecture. So the promises are made for September this year, but let's say by September next year, you will have so if you want to build a PayPal or you want to build a Paytm, you will have that infrastructure available. I don't think any fintech startup, no matter how much funding there is, has the capacity to go and build the real thing. It has to be done with some kind of regulatory support, and that's being done. So in 12 months' time, 18 months' time, I think the infrastructure will be there, and you will see a lot more of enablement for the ecosystem to happen. Just to answer about your question, so you want to build a particular service, you can write on top of that, right? And that will allow you to access accounts, do payments quickly, swiftly, single API-based interfaces that you can consume, and as a fintech, you will be entitled to use them. So this is what the Pakistani scenario. These are part and let more answer.
And I think just to kind of add to what you're saying, I think that I've heard people talk about how Google's eyes UPI quite a bit, right? And people tend to blame the fact that we don't have those kinds of services here, but I'd like to remind everyone that maybe 18 months to 24 months ago, India didn't have those kinds of services either. And yet there's so many fintechs in the market who are going out there, who are developing, who have raised funds, who have also been sold, right? So I don't think that we should kind of blame the current market conditions or blame that this is not here and that's why we can't do anything. To answer the visa question specifically, it's very important to note that fintech and banking and payments is very much a ecosystem thing. So Visa operates within the regulation that the central bank has set. We work very closely with the State Bank of Pakistan, and there's nothing that we will go and do by ourselves. We actually work with the banks, startup labs, many other fintechs, and we like to do it in collaboration.
So Visa is currently providing services through the state bank's infrastructure, which you mentioned. Other than the link one, there's MNET, and there's a state bank infrastructure you named.
RTGS is totally different. MPG is what's coming. The micropayment gateway that will come in about
Currently, how Visa is processing the payment? What infrastructure is it?
Yeah, so I think the easiest way, as he was mentioning, is that think about it as the multiple rails that exist within a specific country. So here you have in Pakistan three different rails that exist, right? RTGS, one link now, a third one coming out. And these kinds of rails allow domestic payments to flow back and forth, whether they are retail or corporate. Visa provides bills not only here but also globally, right? This allows, for example, a customer who has a card issued in Pakistan to go to London and they have a point of sale that's been that's sitting in a Starbucks coffee shop, and if they swipe the card, the payment or the network will check with your bank here whether or not that transaction should be passed through or not, right? So our network is global, whereas the two different networks that were mentioned that are domestic, we deal with domestic payments.
So, Mo, a question from you. So this is what we understand in Pakistan, that Visa is a network that connects multiple institutions at the heart of it, right? So connectivity is one thing that you provide. The other thing that you provide, obviously, you help in digitalization of payments. So what we also understand is that Visa is connected across the globe with around 60,000 banks. So that's the whole value problem. If you were to compare connectivity with Visa versus connectivity with something else, what is the value that Visa is bringing to fintechs? I understand the mentorship is over there. I also understand that the value is there, but if you can probably list what is the core value that why should I, as a fintech, not connect to one link of the world? Right?
Yeah. So
what is the incremental value there?
Yeah. I think the key thing is basically scale, right? So really one of the objectives of this FinTech Fast program is to identify fintechs that are not only relevant for the Pakistani market and Pakistani clients and Pakistani consumers, but also globally. So I had a very good discussion today with this savings platform, and while they're trying to scale up here, I also mentioned that I have clients today in UAE, Saudi Arabia, who will be very good customers of this fintech. And so not only do we provide access to a larger market, but we can also help the process, case studies, help around product design, localization based on what we see in many other countries.
One of my questions like this last one. Actually, the question is that Visa is coming on this fast track program.
Yeah.
You are coming with your limited domain, like providing value-added services or expertise and all that. But given the facts about the market, Pakistani market, or any increasing market, any like other country market, because market is going to be a high next upcoming years, 4 or 5 or whatever years. So are you coming here for only just your limited services, or you are bringing something extra, or going to invest in a fintech or create some fintech and take your stakes in this market of course?
I think just to answer that in short, we are extremely bullish on the opportunities in Pakistan. We see a lot of things that come out.
And you never get a committed answer for such an open-ended question, so let's be fair.
So I think one of the values that, so let me take a stab on what you said. So one of the values that, Bo highlighted was the fact that you have to see what Visa brings to the table. You have to see the network in entirety. Okay? What is the value that a global network is going to bring to you versus some other network? As a fintech, that is what you have to value. Right? And the global connectivity, the presence, right now, your scope is really limited to the domestic clientele. If you connect to Visa, then this domestic clientele becomes a global clientele. Right? If your value prop is that great. So from Visa's standpoint, we remain close to our core business, which is providing you connectivity, giving you access. How you build upon it, and this is what I think Owais was alluding to earlier as well. What you build upon it is really the value prop that you are building, right? So with if you take if you take the conversation forward from what Mo has been referring to. Now, as of yesterday, the access to Visa net was really limited. Now, Visa is opening up to different fintechs. Obviously, this is an evolutionary process. So on day one, the access may be limited, but as time progresses, as we see things progressing, I think the access will expand.
I agree with you. Any big company or a world-class company that comes to the market, they have some kind of certain bandwidth. That's Visa in its own domain, they are fantastic. They are very worldwide. But my question was about that you don't know those, and that's good. Actually, whenever a big company comes in a growing market, so and with a special kind of you say customized program, they must be having something on the table.
Yeah, of course. So that will come. I think that's what he's saying is they're extremely
Yeah,
bullish. And
yeah.
he said it without saying it a lot. So,
That's how they
so and see, and it's always the thing in fintech startups. This is where you have to make an effort and get the value out. They will come, they'll have an offer. What you get out of it is your own perseverance and your ability to get them extract the maximum value of the program. So it's a two-way street. They will come, but you'll have to play your part. So moving forward in the conversation, I think one of the things that we're looking at happening in the Pakistani market is that slowly fintech was it's a specialized domain. It's like not everybody working in that space. So there is a lot of new startups slowly coming up as they see traction coming in, companies getting funded. So one thing is about skill development as well, because fintech is a specialized domain. People may have great ideas, but they need guidance, especially on certain subject matters, right? So Visa has a lot of expertise, especially on the payment side and enabling a lot of digital payments. So as part of this program, do you want to share that? Is there, what kind of mentoring opportunities are there? Because of course you have rolled out in other markets too.
Yeah.
So what kind of skill transfer, knowledge transfer opportunities are available as part of this program?
Yeah, so I think there's a few things. One is that, again, referring back to the Visa developer platform, if you go there, it's probably one of the best microsites I've seen, and I've been in this solution for a long time. We've got not only a list of all the different APIs there, we've got specific use cases and case studies. So we tell you what is this API for and what's the best way to use it, and then we show you how other fintechs and how other players have actually implemented these capabilities. So in terms of self-learning, exploring, etc., that's an amazing repository of stuff. In terms of the fintech abstract program, there will be support provided. If you look here, just in the Visa Pakistan team, I think the team has grown by 3 last year. So there's definitely a commitment to sort of developing global talent and capability. In terms of the mentorship program, it really depends on where exactly the needs are. So we have people in Dubai, we have people all across the world in San Francisco, etc., who are ready to support in terms of areas like payment processing, our regulatory risk, settlements, KYC, all these kinds of things. And our goal again is that we have a shared goal where we really want to see the fintechs succeed, right? So we're going to do whatever it takes in order to ensure that.
So I think, one of the things I've looked at the Visa Developer Platform I signed up. So I think it's a great tool for learning as well, because as a startup or as a fintech, it's not just that you're going to be utilizing Visa's platform, but there's so much knowledge available. Because when you look at a developer API there, and you're absolutely right, the documentation and the sample code is fairly good. Fairly good. Yeah. So it's better than a lot I've seen. I'm trying to be.
Why
So-
don't you be specific?
Yeah, I'm trying not to be very. No, but it's actually very good. So it's not just that you can use that, but this is implementation of technology. API is the implementation of technology. It gives you a lot of ideas when you're building your own product. So tokenization is a great concept, but if you see how well they've implemented it, right, you can take that concept and apply it to a totally different use case, which may not even use Visa yet, right? It could be just your learnings out of that process and using it in a totally different use case in your own fintech or startup. So especially in terms of e-commerce, making things easier, identity protection, whatever the use case may be, right? If you look at Amazon, so I've been a very loyal Amazon customer, and one of the greatest things that they've implemented is the one-click shopping. Right? There's I'm sure hundreds of millions of dollars of research that have gone behind that experience. But it's just, because there's so much impulse purchasing that we all do, right? You're looking at a book and, it's so convenient that you just, I'm not going to wait 8 weeks, right? And everybody's looking for instant gratification. So if I look at the book, I like the thing, and it's just right there, it's tempting me, just click and it's yours.
Amazon actually had a patent on that for I think the 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal experience, but they drive sales. So they've done the research, they have a patent, but they're not going to come in force on a $2-3 million Bitcoin, right? So yeah, but they're big patent thieves themselves too. By the way, a friend of mine, they stole their patents, and they were like, they filed a $15-20 million lawsuit against them.
I think also, frictionless, as you were saying, is a very big trend that we see now all across the world. Where if you think about now, when you want to order food or credit card, etc., consumers have very little patience, and as soon as they open up the phone and when they push the button, they expect things to happen. And so everything around payment kind of is the same thinking, the same design thinking, where we really want customers to think about the shopping experience and not about the payment experience. We really want to move payment through as far back as possible. We really have the customer just think about getting that product, getting that business service that they want to. This is a question.
Yeah, so just for my understanding, because I joined it late as well. Visa Developer Portal is for developers who are working with fintechs who can incorporate Visa tokenization service in their respective applications or the solutions that they design. That's how about it is. But is it open APIs? I mean, like any developer all over the world?
Open API. So this is the developer platform. Platform or developer at Visa.com is basically a platform of about 150 different APIs that any fintech or any bank etc. can go and use in the sandbox. Now, some APIs are available by market, depending on regulation, demand, etc. But you're free to use it in the sandbox. And then there's a certification process to actually get you aligned with the debt solution, decide you want to use it or promote it into production.
So any fintech can go up and sign up, right?
Yes.
I mean, like people like me who are thinking about starting.
Yeah,
They go and have a look at sign up.
It's definitely a great resource for that. The case studies, as we were mentioning, are extremely strong. So we show you how real life companies are actually using the same APIs to actually build products and propositions.
Yeah, please go.
As everybody knows, and they discussed that there are very limited limited number of opportunities for online payments between a customer and a business currently in Pakistan to go through. And one of the reasons which we see is the reluctance of banks to enable their customers to use their cards, debit cards, credit cards online.
Yep.
There are many banks who are providing Visa or MasterCard-based debit cards and credit cards, but they are not, they can't use it online. So, has Visa been doing some education or some work with those banks to tell them that it's not so dangerous out there, simply speaking?
They are not real. Sorry. We have given up on the banking sector. That's me, that's all people.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question back. Okay, what do you think the growth rate is of e-commerce on Visa cards in the last year? Take a guess.
The question again?
The growth rate of e-commerce of online payments for Visa cards in Pakistan.
Pakistan, around maybe 50%.
Yeah, sorry? 22, Wales. Okay, so the growth rate is actually about 51%, right? So that shows you that there's so much growth, and the only way, and it's not only because there's so many customers who have cards, but it's because the banking system is starting to become more open or more understanding of how to handle risk when it comes to online transactions.
So the experience varies from bank to bank. There's some banks that have done a very good job. I think one thing you should mention is the BBB program that you have brought in. Tokenization is another thing. All this is there to build confidence in the payment system that you secure, right?
I know the technology is there and ideas are there, but are you directly working with banks to educate them or to tell them that they can open up to online payments, or you're just waiting for them to come to you or just do research on their own how they can make themselves more secure?
Just to add here,
Yes, probably I'll take a stab at that. So every institution has their own risk appetite. That is what you have to understand. And again, every institution is operating in a particular niche. So if you were to map all the banks, you would see there are certain banks that are digitally very savvy, and so is their customer base. For them, e-commerce transaction is a normal process where you can just dial your card and start performing. And then there are banks in Pakistan where you really need to speak up to the call center, activate your card, and that activation is also limited to a certain period of time. And then there is a restriction where you charge over and above. At Visa, what we understand the limitations, but what we at Visa are doing is the way we have come out and engaging, accelerated engage with banks. What we tell them is that these are the global trends. This is how things are evolving. This is how the customers are evolving. This is the need of the day. You will be surprised. 70% of the transactions that are happening in Pakistan are cross-border transactions in e-commerce. And one of the reasons is that we really have 1,000 e-commerce merchants in Pakistan. So there is no real pre-payment play in Pakistan. Right? So we have gone out and we have communicated to banks, we shown them data, and we have told them, and then we have also at the same time to manage the risk requirement. We have come out and we have brought in technologies that basically gives a sort of a liability shift, just a minute of language. What liability shift is, if the transaction is performed, it's a fraudulent transaction, the customer is not. So we are creating these processes in the center which basically gives banks and the customers comfort to perform e-commerce transactions. So, and just at this moment, as the time will go, what has happened in the past 12 months? This will now, the growth, whatever growth has happened in the past 12 months, this will happen in the next 3 months, and this is how it's going to evolve. So you will see a great uptake.
Question about the program. Will it be only beneficial for those guys who are working in the fintech industry? Means will they get only enrolled with the program and get the trend from the visa, or will it like other students who just graduated and they want to join the fintech industry, or somebody like doing other business and going to, they can also get benefited from this visa fast track program for the training and then expertise and knowledge?
Yeah, so it's very much a validation process. So if there is a fintech that wants to work with us, we then understand the company, the product, the fit, the team, the scale, the growth, etc. And then we will take a decision whether or not to accept the company into the fintech fast track or program. But for now, we're not looking directly with any students or anything.
Okay, question on the e-commerce side. There's also the verified by Visa protocol that I think pops up now.
Yep.
So I think e-commerce is extremely secure now because you get an OTP and you cannot have a transaction. You have to have a registered phone. Credit card information comes to that. You put the OTP in, and that's the only way to do a transaction. So, or I think that is the only way in Pakistan at least. But I have a question on the gentleman's question on top of that. The banks don't tell their customers about the fact that they have that capability on their Visa cards in Pakistan. The banks do not tell them, so I guess that's why the e-commerce is really low. Is Visa thinking of doing something to encourage Visa branded cards by Visa itself? To like sort of tell them that there is a verification.
So we had an e-commerce workshop with almost all of the major banks. We actually before in July, and we continue to go around and educate the banks on what's happening in the trends. And really, I think that the banks here are starting to understand that the youth here, the actual opportunity behind online, and so that's going to continue to change. If you have any specific names you want to share right after this, we're more than happy to take that and go and speak with them.
Plus, we are also coming up with a customer education program, where we will be communicating. It's still in works, but there will be a communication which tells you from a customer standpoint, a cardholder standpoint, it will explain to you what are the best practices. So a lot of cardholders also don't know what is the right approach. So OTPs and everything is coming in. So we're working on that as well.
But not all the bins are 3D secure now. It takes time.
There's a recent regulation that has come out from the
Yeah,
State
so
Bank, and that requires all the banks to certify themselves for 3D secure. The timeline to start of the project was March this year. So most of the banks are now coming in. So our product, 3D secure is a standard.
Yeah.
So our product is now called Visa Secure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So verified by Visa is becoming Visa.
Visa Secure.
So yeah, moving on to the conversation. So what kind of timelines are we looking at for this fast track program to come to this market?
Yeah, so I think our goal is to build it as quickly as possible. I would safely say before the end of 2019, not hopefully the next, let's say, 3 to 6 months.
All right, I was like half of thinking you were going to say before end of 2020. Yeah, please.
I just want to bring back the conversation slightly back to the banks. I have the pleasure of working for a bank, so.
So told us you would have brought a bank to deal with that. We had 2 bankers in 2 periods, that's why I avoided a banker.
So I understand everyone's concerns and everything. In our defense, I think we are working a lot with payment schemes, with associations like yourselves. My question to you is, where can we work together towards moving towards real-time payments, because currently I feel like where I work, where we work, the friction that exists right now is not able to match up with the velocity of e-commerce that is to come. That is not already here, but that is to come. So, for example, payments are not settled in real time. There are delays. And it's not a Visa thing, it's not a bank thing, right? It happens. Where can we work together to get to a place where we can move towards real time?
Settlement.
Yeah.
So settlements having.
So just to catch up, I think, well, personally from experience, I think it's not only a technical thing, it's also an organizational thing. It's also varying organizational structures that lead to problems in reconciliation, which affect settlement, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's just a point I have.
So from customer standpoint, P2B in Pakistan, what I understand is happening. It's a generic response. It's not just Visa related. The clearing and settlement from customer standpoint is happening in real time because I would ask.
So I'm referring to merchant.
So merchant payments, yes. So again, in merchant payments, I will come back to the, that's a model that really a bank has evolved. You can do it in T+1, you can do it in T+5. It really depends on the model that.
So the standard is T+2 still.
It is still there. It is still there. And West, what is happening is there are also other things attached to it. So, for instance, if as a bank you have done an arrangement with a merchant, a large merchant, and you are charging, let's say, 0 MDR from that merchant. So, against that, what you do is you hold funds for 5 days.
Yeah.
So it's basically the model that you have created. This is something that you have RTGS. RTGS is run twice in a day. So effectively, you're settling near real time.
And I don't think it's not going to happen. I think if you think back to maybe 4 or 5 years ago, settlement used to happen once every week or once every 10 or 15 days, right? And now it's T+1, right? So I think we're moving towards that.
It can
Is there a T+2 for it?
Average is something like that. So, yeah.
There are many merchants who are ready to accept payments real time, and they are ready to pay fee for that. Like they want instant payment in their account, and they are ready to pay 1% or 2%. So if this is the model agreed between the merchant and the bank, so I think it is possible.
Yeah, there's a problem with Pakistan. Sorry, Pakistan is a very unique market. At least I don't know about the other market, but in developed markets, the merchant even pays for the terminal and a fee for deploying the terminal, right?
Yeah.
Here the merchant can apply the merchant had account here.
It's because of the tax evasion.
No, it's not a tax evasion. It's just a market. You want to put a terminal. See, again, it's one of the biggest challenge of very low volume is that we were discussing is that Pakistan for the longest time wasn't an acquiring issue. It was an issuance side issue, right? There was not enough instruments in the hand of the people for the merchant to be driven. Abhi, I was, replacing the battery of my old vehicle that was parked in Karachi. So I came after a month, so the battery was dead. I said, okay, I said, here's the card, right? I don't carry cash at all, right? So he says, sir, ATM is just 1 minute walk up, right? So I was maybe at a battery store, maybe I was one customer at 20, I was saying, right? But if 19 out of 20 customers are saying, hey, we just have plastic, there will be pressure on the merchant to accept, right? If he's losing sale, if they are losing sale, they will be pressed. So globally, the issuance side has been very, very strong in the markets. There are a lot of zero cash societies now, and I think I remember they're virtually zero cash. I think it was Norway or some of this country, right?
Yeah.
So there is a need in Pakistan, even today with 23 years, 30 years of credit card issuance, we are barely at 1 million credit cards. It's the debit card that's coming. But again, there's structural issues in the economy. You need to understand that the economy works as an ecosystem, right? So every part has to work to get into the right place. With the whole documentation coming in the economy, the incentive to go on cash will come down. So the incentives, if there's a whole fixed tax regime coming for merchants, and merchant is unfortunately the biggest chore class when it comes to taxation in the country, right?
That's the thing. If you lower the KYC, then they would.
It's not a KYC issue. It's that it's not about KYC. It's about it's about the tax avoidance, right? You don't want to pay the tax rate. You don't want
They want to show the. They want to show the income there.
But I hate to interrupt, but there is a different side of the story as well. I'm interrupting because I couldn't listen forward to you on the aspect of merchants not wanting to become merchants or businesses not wanting to become merchants. We are just working to launch service. And I went onto the online website of 2 banks. I don't want to make names.
Oh yeah, horrible experience.
Right? No, to become a merchant.
Yes. No, I'm
And
sure
also,
giving you horrible
and
experience.
also with those Easy Pesa and Jazz Cash and all of them. And after a passage of 1 month, only one has contacted me back to me, and they have said upfront that it's going to take a long time before we can sign up for a merchant.
Sir, आप उसकी बात कर रहे हैं. अब ये setup देख रहे हैं ना? I have the setup in 3 cities. I'm running it for 3 years. I don't have a terminal here because it's that difficult to become a merchant, right? And we have corporatized day one, it's a corporate entity, GST, PST, Punjab, PRA, Islamabad, everything is there. So the final objection was that, hey, you don't have a soundboard outside. I said, "Bhai, chawal, roti, chini nahi bech raha. It's a corporate setup. So there's logos everywhere. Then you have to put a soundboard." I said, nahi karta. So yeah, most of my customers pay by check. But absolutely right. So the general merchants are separate because the service is horrible. Easy Paisa supposedly very high end. It took us 6 months to get an account and another 4 months to get it operational. So that's just to give you an idea that yes, the issue is on both sides. The acquisition experience is extremely difficult and getting our terminal, but at the same time, I'm not saying you are a different class of merchant, right? I'm a different class of merchant, but we are not the mass market. My experience that I've run a merchant acquiring business for good 10 years or so. So I tell you that there is a DBA. You know what DBA is? Doing business as. जहाँ volume ज़्यादा है वहाँ there are 6 machines. DBA as Abu, DBA as Taya, DBA as हर 6 IDs को बना ताकि tax का मसला हो सके. So tax is a big issue. Sorry, Iman, you wanted to add something?
Like you said that merchants are not coming up front. I don't see any platform which is available even if the merchants are ready to buy a machine. There are a number of merchants. I've got readily available 1,000 merchants which are willing to even buy the machine and start business, but there's no open API, nothing available. They have to stick around with particular platform or something like that. So these are the limitations, and it's an opportunity for fintech.
Absolutely. So yeah, so I'm sure there are enough fintechs sharing this out that just make them easier. But then you need a partnering acquiring bank that has the wherewithal to support that kind of acquisition, right?
I have a comment here, not a question. If you look at the state bank's regulations, I happen to have worked in the risk department for Easy Paisa actually. So I can just tell you that there's a requirement by state bank which actually requires you to have a sign outside before you can actually do acquisitions. So essentially the state bank regulations need to be looked at.
Yes, it comes back to the ecosystem, right?
So there's your open-minded.
Yes, so I think things have changed are changing. So let me give you a different perspective on this. And I totally agree with all of you said. But different perspective is that we have been engaging with multiple partners, and one of the conversations that we recently had with the regulator as well. And during the conversation, you see where the focus is. There were a couple of things that the regulator is focusing on. Merchant onboarding is one of the key asks. So they have already come up with a draft, and they also want to classify merchants. A merchant like Imtiaz is very different from a merchant. I'm not even talking about the Kriana store, but even a merchant across the road is very different from Imtiaz. So they are coming up with regulations that specifically mention what is the onboarding criteria. That's one thing. That will then help banks to work in a certain fashion. You have to understand, banks have been driven in a certain fashion, right? So they are compliance company. Mo and I met a very senior banker today in the morning, and without naming anyone, his frustration was same as yours. And this guy is a C-level executive. His frustration was no different.
This week, we actually had two companies,
Yeah.
two different established companies looking at fintech angles, who have been by the same guy.
Right, and they are actually working inside the bank, and they are trying to reconstruct their thinking process. So it's not that bank as a whole is not working toward it. You will find pockets of excellence. Even the regulator, as you correctly said, that they have to regulation. They are pushing hard to come up with something which is more relevant to what our requirements are. So right now we may not be there, but I think that is the term. There is some agreement.
But I definitely see that nobody denies that there is no improvement in the ecosystem.
Yeah.
I think we are all frustrated with the pace of change. Because today, I think the way we architected and like mobile, because he looks after e-commerce, the expectations are instant, right? It's instant gratification, instant delivery, instant everything, and it's Facebook, WhatsApp, all these ICQ and stuff, right? The idea is that it's instant, right? I click and something happens, right? There was a time that some of you may remember who are old enough And we have like 2.4K modem, right? We dial-up, right? And those 19.2 and then 64K modems. Imagine being on a 64K connection today, right? So now it's like I have 200 megabits coming into this facility on 4 fibers, and probably more than that. But it's just the expectation that we might still say, hey, give us a separate 50 MB pipe, right? So that's the expectation. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and it's not just here. So, looking at some of the other markets across this part of the world, where probably the Visa e-commerce volume is probably 100 times bigger than exactly where it is here. It still takes a merchant about 3 months to onboard, right? Including KYC, gateway approvals, everything. Even before the first developer can start to do the work, it takes 3 months. So the problems or challenges you face here are not different from anywhere else in the world.
And I'll give the regulator one credit here. See, again, so just empathize with them a little bit. And Pakistan is a very frugal market if you look at it from the regulator's angle, right? So they have to watch out for a lot of fraudulent activities that can happen. There have been few incidents right now where actually people, gave out the information. So they said, hey, their bank account was hacked. Bank account wasn't hacked. Somebody called from a bank here, we send you a code, PIN code, tell us that, and they gave out the OTP, and then they changed the password, and then they updated everything. So they have to operate in an environment. Pakistan has a FATF challenge. We are on the gray list. We have to comply with that. And trust me, भाई जितने ईमानदार लोग मैं assume करता हूँ 100% ये बैठे हुए ना, ये population का 4-5% ही there's a lot of activity going around that is like, let's say, gray, if not entirely black. So the regulator device is not keeping you in mind, he's keeping the entire ecosystem. They're trying to not say how I can just relate you, they're trying to cover what can go wrong and protect the customer. See, State Bank, I criticize them a lot, but I have to give them credit. The ultimate objective is public money protection, right? Depositors' money, trust, and Pakistan, Alhamdulillah, has a great environment. We haven't been robbed in bulk in this country. There's been no run on the bank, no bank has gone down. The State Bank has done a pretty terrific job from that angle. But yeah, we would all like it to be faster and quicker. Sorry, you were saying.
So, Mr. Mo, after having this 40 minutes of conversation, actively present जो अपने मतलब के areas हैं. Basically, I'm from a fintech environment, and
what do you do? Just tell us what you do. What does the fintech do?
Sorry.
What does it do this fintech? What are you guys building?
Basically, I'm related to the ATMs and the POS and the internet bankings and the mobile bankings, and totally relevant to the payments, and also from the issuing side. We are making the EMP cards for Visa, for MasterCard, for UPI, and for the PayPack as well, from the 1 link to a 6 scheme. What I came to know from my experience, that there is a major issue of awareness or providing awareness. Since I am a fintech guy, I know the positives and the negatives of any product that is relevant to the cards or payments domain.
Yeah.
But the people are not having confidence, even they are technical or developers or implementationists, but in any other department or any other domain. I want to ask Visa that why can't we do some knowledge sharing programs for Pakistani people, irrelevant to the fintechs, or just providing the awareness about the security or providing about the services. So when it comes to Visa and any certification, I am the guy who only knows about issuing, acquiring, settlements, base 1, base 2, and HSM keys, that's it. But today, right now, you're talking about the Visa APIs, the development environment.
Yeah.
So why am I, or why aren't we, other people are not aware of these further new technologies offered by Visa? For that, I want to ask, or I want to offer Visa to come up in Pakistan or share by share, jaake, to spread out the awareness about the cards and payments domain, that why Visa and for what new reasons, like what would be the new positives coming up through Visa?
Yeah, I think share by share might be a little bit difficult.
City by city.
Since I'm flying out tomorrow, but I understand. The real purpose of being here today is really to show our commitment towards collaboration, and it's very much about telling the fintech community that Visa understands the opportunity here, and we're very much looking to work with everybody here. As I mentioned, we had a workshop in Karachi, in Lahore, in the past month, and now we're back again. Inshallah, we'll be back very soon again. And we have a lot of different assets out there. The Visa Developer Platform is one. Visa.com is the second one, where any new product feature is always there. And also in terms of the customer, as the gentleman in the suit was mentioning, I'm not sure who he is, but he seems to know a lot about Visa. I think he was mentioning that we do have a customer education campaign coming soon, and that really talks about security of shopping online, free secure one-time tokens, what it works, what are sort of your rights as a consumer when you shop online, guarantees and chargebacks and all this kind of thing. So all this stuff is now coming, especially as we see online shopping and sort of digital payments growing at the pace it has. I think this is the time that we as Visa and the team really have to really help the market accelerate faster. So it's feedback taken, and we're going to work on this.
So I think it's been a great session. I think we'd like to thank Mo for coming over and doing the session. I hope it was productive for everybody. And who is here for the first time, I request you to go to the Facebook page and the Hive and sign up for alerts. Every month we do a session and some other events you will be informed. I'd like to thank Eamon for coordinating everything and bringing him here. Mo, any parting thoughts you have before we break for tea?
Yeah, I think first of all, thank you so much for having me, and thank you to everyone here for your time. I really appreciate it. I've also learned a lot this past week again, meeting with a lot of cool fintechs and banks. I think just the last comment I want to make is, being a former fintech guy myself, I had 2 startups that both have failed, which is why I still have a job and not retired somewhere. All of these barriers and challenges that you were talking about also create opportunity, right? Because like you're able to win at something that everyone else is struggling at, that gives you leverage and gives you a head start on the rest of the country. So just keep that in mind. And I understand sometimes it's sort of hard to stay positive, and frustration is high, but we're definitely here to help you take things forward.
Thank you. Cheers, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for setting up the session.
Thanks, guys. We will have technical issues Double tap.
ये मुझे भी पता नहीं था। Yeah, there's complications and all. Economic Pakistan registered to protect हमने सिंपल चीज़ ये ओके या रीजन एंड या जो बैंक हमारे काम करते हैं हमारे अब मसला ये है कि स्टार्ट basically ये भी होगा towards competitive जो आप बोलते हैं आप ये आप ये चाहते हैं you are not you are basically तुमने वो basically आपका जब पेमेंट करना है और आपने अच्छा आगे तुमने कैसे क्रेडिट करना है इनका भी क्रेडिट है क्लियर की ट्रांजैक्शन पे कैसे सेटलमेंट को बस सेटलमेंट सारा ऑफलाइन आपके आपने आगे किससे क्रेडिट करना है वो कोई कम है आज की ट्रांजैक्शन आपका पेमेंट चाहिए तुम्हारी जो भी एक्सपेंसिव कंपनी है उसका पेमेंट होना चाहिए तो मैं पेमेंट करना चाहिए उसमें अच्छा उसकी अगर पेमेंट करने से भी हमारा उसके बाद क्यू आर है बिजनेस की हमारे पास समझ आज यहाँ पे लगा है तो मल्टीपल जो है हमारे मल्टीपल जो है एक्सपेंसिव है हमारे पास परचेस से सारे स्मार्ट लेकिन ये जो 100-200 है इसका जो स्केल वो बहुत ज्यादा है वर्सेस इन let's not play with that. Let's play. Let's not play sustainable. तुम्हारे पास पैसे नहीं है और चेक कर जो जिन्हें पसंद आते हैं वो करेंगे टेक्नोलॉजी स्कैन और स्ट्रेट